good afternoon. Street Genius, Pop 59. And then we come to believe those little filled in mental gaps, and so we tell those the next time too, except they are not real. So we get them a little bit wrong. And we're drunk one night a year later, and we tell the story, so we embellish it a little bit more. Okay, let's be honest, we completely make up about one third of it. But when we are sober, the next week we don't want to admit that we are a big fat liar. So we go along with the revised and newly expanded drunk and version of our story. And 5 years later, I absolutely swear to God, swear on my mother's grave, truer than true story is at most 50% true. We all do this. You do, I do, no matter how honest and well intentioned we are. We're in a perpetual state of misleading ourselves and others for no other reason than that our brain is designed to be efficient, not accurate. Not only does our memory suck to the point that that eyewitness testimony isn't necessarily taken seriously in court cases, but our brain functions in a horribly biased way. How so? Well, our brain is always trying to make sense of our current situation based on what we already believe and have already experienced. Every new piece of information is measured against the values and conclusions we already have. As a result, our brain is always based toward what we feel to be true in that moment. So when we have a great relationship with our sister, we'll interpret most of our memories about her in a positive light. But when the relationship sours, we'll often come to see those exact same memories differently, reinventing them in such a way as to explain our present day anger toward her. That sweet gift she gave us last Christmas is now remembered as patronizing and condescending. That time she forgot to invite us to her lake house is now seen not as an innocent mistake, but as a horrible negligence. Meredith's fake abuse story makes far more sense when we understand the values in which her beliefs arose. First of all, Meredith had had a strained and difficult relationship with her father throughout most of her life. Second, Meredith had had a series of failed intimate relationships with men, including a failed marriage. So, already in terms of her values, close relationships with men weren't doing so hot. Then, in the early 1980s, Meredith became a radical feminist and began doing research into child abuse. She was confirmed with horrific story after horrific story after horrific story of abuse, and she dealt with incest survivors, usually little girls, for years on end. She also reported extensively on a number of inaccurate studies that came out around that time. Studies that it later turned out grossly overestimated the prevalence of child molestation. The most famous study reported that a third of the adult women had been sexually molested as children. A number of that has since been shown to be false. And on top of all this, Meredith fell in love and began a relationship with another woman and an incest survivor. Meredith developed a codependent and toxic relationship with her partner, one in which Meredith continually tried to save the other woman from her traumatic past. Her partner also used her traumatic past as a weapon of guilt to earn Meredith's affection More on this and boundaries in chapter 8.